Hey guys, welcome back to the Greenback Voyage podcast. I'm your host Shravan, and with me is Joel, as always.
Hey guys.
And
Unfortunately, we don't have Krishna
Yep.
today with us.
Yep, no, we don't. So it looks like it's just us two again. But we have a lot to talk about, don't we, this week? I think we can start it off with the big news that's coming out of today, and that is surprise, surprise, inflation. I mean, did we expect much else really from Powell or the Fed? Yeah, I mean, the guidance is now up to about 3.4% on inflation for 2021.
That's almost like double what there was. Previous guidance was 2% or 2.4.
It was around 2.5, so it's about up another percent, which is insane. But yeah, Powell keeps saying this is going to be transitory and don't worry about it, nothing's going to happen. But I mean, come on, man. 3.4% is ridiculous amounts considering where we were last year.
Yeah, it's definitely really high. But it looks like they have a long-term guidance at 2%. So will inflation slowly, adjust itself?
I mean, it's all dependent on interest rate, right? So the big news, I think, rather than the actual interest or inflation guidelines for 2021 was the fact that the Fed is looking to increase rates 2 quarters earlier than expected in 2023. So yeah, I don't know if you saw the treasury yields, they spiked to 1.5. And yeah, and the stocks just absolutely died within 2 minutes.
I saw a 1 minute candle drop 0.6% on the S&P.
It was insane. But yeah, even with this, the Fed is still continuing its quantitative easing program, so they're still buying 120 billion in bonds each month that they started at the beginning of the pandemic. I don't really know what they're trying to achieve at this point, because the economy's sort of roaring back now, and they don't really need much help from the Fed. And if they're really talking about jobs and how that's kind of failed Wall Street's expectations, that's not really for the Fed to do anything. Right now it looks like more so corporations have to start incentivizing with better wages and better benefits in order to increase that amount. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what you think about it, but I don't know. To me, it seems like the Fed is just overkilling this at this point.
They're probably I don't think this is definitely unprecedented for them, right? The whole year. So they're trying to try any solution at this point, and their solutions kind of seem extreme. I mean, it's kind of like we have this problem that we've never faced before, and how do we solve it? How do we not make it worse? So they're trying to solve a huge problem with these huge unprecedented solutions that have been never tried out before.
But
so
why would they do it now is the question. This is the worst time to do it, isn't it? Because you've got Biden announcing the $6 trillion budget plan for next year.
Yeah, I don't I don't understand, bro. How we're gonna spend trillions of dollars.
We've had 3 stimulus bills
inflation
already.
Yeah,
so it's I mean, I don't know what to think at this point.
We're halfway in 2021. Guidance up to 3.4%. I mean, the 10-year right now is trading around 1.5%.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it touches 2% by the end of the year. If Biden continues to go with this $1 trillion plans, and the Congress and the Senate actually are starting. It turns out, or actually not. If they start to make progress on actually passing these bills, I wouldn't be surprised if the Treasury yields move up 20 or 30%, and stocks continue to moon, and then when we have, and then the Fed will probably even push or pull back like their guidance and they'll start to increase rates maybe 2022. So I mean, first of all, we all know that the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, they're all going to have this huge correction once the treasury or once the rates are, moved up. That's definitely going to happen. I mean, we're trading the S&P 500 alone is trading at what, 25 price to earnings. Nasdaq is much higher than that. I mean, these are unprecedented metrics, right? At this point, how long are you gonna continue to be in this sort of situation? It's just, I don't know where it's gonna end. We're gonna suffer some sort of consequence from this.
I think what they're hoping is they sacrifice the next 5 years in order to improve the next 20. But at the same time, it's like, this is a once in a lifetime thing where we have Democrats taking control of all three governments. And, you can't really, fail for the next 4 years, not provide much results, and then go into the midterms or elections and then say, hey, just vote for us. We promise it'll get better soon enough, because if the Republicans get in, you know what they'll do. They'll just revoke any policy that the Democrats proposed.
Yeah, but there's a certain limit to your policies. I mean, you can't go around passing trillion-dollar packages like it's nothing, right? It's just, I don't want to say it's like reckless, but sure, I mean, policy-wise, I'm in support of many of what they're trying to pass. But to do it all at once is not, I don't think it's the right thing to do it. You can't overwhelm the economy when it's already been overwhelmed in 2020 with like $5 trillion injected in a span of 1 year. What type of strain is that going to take on the economy? I mean, there's a reason why the Fed is continuing to up their guidance on inflation. I mean, what's going to happen in the next few years? Who's going to pay the price?
Yeah, I think it will be some time before we see the true pushback from reality. I don't know when that will be, because everything seems either overvalued or too volatile to invest in at the moment.
We're in a very euphoric environment right now in terms of stock market. Everything is, I mean, let's face it, people say the stock market is a point where we don't care about valuations. That's not true. Everything's going to correct at one point, and we're going to see some steep asset corrections in the asset prices. People don't want to hear it, but I think it's going to happen now or sometime in the next 2 or 3 years. Not a crash, obviously. It's not going to go down 50%, but 20-30% could definitely be possible.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see us go back below 4,000 again in the near term. But you know what? I think that's enough for us on that topic. I think we've spent way too many weeks talking over this. Our views are very clear, and we think inflation will be a lot worse than what's expected by the Fed, as do many other investors. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if long term is not even at 2%, it's at like 2.5 at this rate.
We'll see, like maybe in a few months they'll up their guidance.
Yeah, we'll see next quarter. But I think something else we need to talk about, going away from the stock market, we can go into crypto, and that's Bitcoin assets. So like a lot of companies own some portion of Bitcoin. Tesla, one of them. Square's another. You got Riot, Mara, and all those.
Speaking of Tesla, actually, they reported that they actually sold about 10% of their Bitcoin.
Oh, did they? When they announced this?
It was like last week. And also another thing, Elon Musk said that if Bitcoin miners, continue to make efforts to go in a greener means of production, where they're not using, let's say, like coal or oil or gas to, use for their mining rigs, then Tesla will actually reconsider the usage of Bitcoin to purchase cars. So that actually is one of the reasons why Bitcoin went back to 40K and had kind of a small rally. but I don't think it's made new all-time high yet, and I think it's around 40 or $38, 38K right now.
But yeah, but did Tesla say where they sold it at, by any chance?
I don't think they reported at what price. They just said they sold about 10%.
Okay, yeah. I don't think the SEC kind of regulates that yet. But the thing is, at least it'll show on their accounting statements, which is what I really wanted to talk about. A lot of the profit that was, shown on Tesla's balance sheet last year was either due to government tax credits or Bitcoin just making a whole new level. But now, because Bitcoin is below where Tesla, I believe, originally bought their Bitcoin.
They bought it
at.
in the low 30s, I believe.
No, they bought it around high 30s, around 36, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay, so
okay.
we'll say it's close to even at this point. But, Bitcoin did drop below, 30,000 at some point. So say they sold some there.
Right.
Because,
and they had like more than $1 billion too.
Yeah.
So.
And because they're considered like indefinite lived intangible assets and not currencies, any decrease in their value could force, Tesla to write down the value and take like an impairment charge, which would definitely affect their balance sheet. So the Bitcoin market itself is insanely important for Tesla right now, because I think a huge chunk of its profits will be determined by how volatile the Bitcoin market is.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. Wow.
Yeah, so it's something.
What is it, like 1.5 billion?
Yeah.
They put into Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they, let's say they bought it at 35K and it went down to 30K, that's they definitely lost a good amount of money.
Yeah.
During that time.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised
unrealized gains.
They produce negative profits again.
I remember seeing someone tweet that the Bitcoin losses that they experienced at that time were more than the profit that they posted. I think it was for the quarter or for the year, which was kind of surprising. I mean, to invest in something like this and for that to be so volatile, where at one point the loss that you bear is more than the profit you generated is, I mean, you have to have such a huge conviction in this in Bitcoin to do that. So we'll see where it takes them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the crypto market goes. It is, I think, like you said, it's starting to rally. It's starting to rally back up again. But yeah, honestly, I don't know where we can see it in the future, because I think a lot of it's dependent on the SEC and how they crack down on it.
Yeah, I mean, we touched upon this, a few podcasts ago on, we did a segment on cryptocurrency. It's just a bet against government, right? You're trying to bet against fiat currency, and you're saying that cryptocurrency will overtake or will disrupt fiat currency and will take down government regulation on the financial markets, and we will live in a decentralized system where everyone will have equal share, right? And will your bet win? I mean, China has completely cracked down on cryptocurrency. India is completely cracked down on cryptocurrency. They're the top two largest countries in the world. So a huge user base is just gone like that. And I don't know if the USA is going to follow, because so many companies are invested in the cryptocurrency market. To just get rid of it's going to be a huge disruption. But a lot of Latin American countries are adopting it. I think like Venezuela or some country did, but
El Salvador.
It's just El Salvador. But I mean, the major countries, right, the ones that actually hold leverage in the world, in the global stage. We have to see how they look into cryptocurrency, and if they're going to welcome it with open arms or completely shut it down. And looks like they are going to shut it down. So, will Bitcoin survive? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what kind of big disruptions there are in the future. I think one other main point we need to focus on is the new FTC commissioner who was sworn in a couple days ago. It's interesting to see a bipartisanship towards an antitrust kind of committee that's forming now. I don't know. What do you think on this new commissioner, Lena Khan? I think is her name.
I haven't read much into that. But is she like, what is her like main policy agenda?
Oh, I mean, she is heavy, like antitrust. Like she wrote a bunch of papers from 2015 to 2017 on how corporations like Google, Amazon, Apple, they have this antitrust paradox, and it's made her, I guess, a well-known figure in those sorts of antitrust circles. And I think she was quoted saying something like, you know, in her acceptance speech, like Congress created the FTC to safeguard fair competition, and what's going on with e-commerce is going against this policy, and it's creating unfair and deceptive practices, which is something that she hopes to crack down on.
That's pretty great to hear.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I mean, I don't know how hard they can crack down on these corporations. Mm-hmm. It'll be a long legal battle to definitely break them up. I mean, yeah. It'll be interesting. And
I mean, it's good to see, you know, some, not the, you know, cookie cutter bureaucrat, you know, who just comes and does their, you know, status quo job, but someone who's actually going to, you know, take a stand against companies that have just grown too big and then have pretty much monopolies. I mean, Amazon pretty much is a monopoly. Google's pretty much a monopoly. So this is good to hear.
And I hope that one of the first things she does is bring back net neutrality.
Remember the guy
Ajit
what was
Patel.
his name? Ajit. Yeah, brother. He was made a big meme. I remember.
I mean, see, some things for humans we say aren't, you know, like a need for us. Like technically, the internet isn't a need; it's more of a want. But in this day and age, you definitely need internet, and that's something that should be regulated. In the same way that utilities are, you know, government should just keep track on them, make sure they're not unfairly adjusting prices and not discriminating based on their internet communications, or discriminate them based on the website platform, you know, or any other method of communication. Yeah, so I hope that's one of the first things she does is bring back net neutrality, and then start breaking down these big corporations one by one. It'll be interesting to see how that happens. Facebook especially. I want to see how that goes down.
Don't attack Facebook. they're my favorite company.
I mean, it'll be interesting because the FCC approved all those acquisitions, Instagram and WhatsApp. So, yeah. I don't know. Will they break those up?
Probably not.
Yeah, they probably
maybe
won't.
They'll try
Amazon,
to block future acquisitions from, you know, they might, you know, be more restrictive on future acquisitions, but I don't think they're gonna break off Instagram or WhatsApp from Facebook, and even like Amazon. I mean, it's gonna be very hard to break AWS or, you know, their even their grocery chain Whole Foods off. So they'll probably be more restrictive on future acquisitions and mergers and things like that. So we'll have to see how much power they'll have over these, you know, pretty much monopolies.
So you think they won't break up any companies? They'll just be making.
I think it's very hard to do that. It's not that simple to just break up Amazon into 4 different companies. It's not like we can't do a repeat of AT&T. That's not going to happen in today's age. I don't think so. But I think, you know, if let's say Amazon wants to acquire some electric truck company or they want to acquire some e-commerce competitor or some IoT company or whatever, they'll probably be more restrictive on certain things. They'll probably try to block certain acquisitions and things like that. But to break off some divisions, I don't think so. It's gonna take a long time to do that. It's not gonna happen overnight. It's gonna take a long time.
Yeah, I mean, if they couldn't, do it with Microsoft, I don't think there's much chance they'll do it with Facebook at all.
Yeah, and Facebook's a very strong company. I think like last year in terms of lobbying expenditure, Facebook was at the top, or I think second after Amazon, but it was top two. So they have huge influence over the government, and it's going to be very tough to break off their apps. It's not going to be easy.
Okay. I think our last topic that we wanted to, I guess, really touch base on is what's happening in terms of, the green energy revolution. So we did talk about Tesla and how they're considering going into Bitcoin dependent on how users, mine Bitcoin, what type of energy they use. Well, Japan specifically is planning to shift a big chunk of its power to hydrogen in the coming years. Yeah, this was sort of written off beforehand because, well, it's way too costly and it's ways too inefficient to be realistic in the application of the world. But Japan's trying it. They say they have the infrastructure, the money, and the resources to do it. I don't know. It's
it was like Japanese automakers like Toyota,
Mhm.
right? They were trying to push hydrogen fuel cars like the Toyota Mirai. So I'm not surprised that Japan is moving in that direction. But it looks like it would cost a lot of money. Definitely tens and maybe hundreds of billions of dollars. Definitely hundreds of billions of dollars, maybe trillions.
Yeah.
To develop this.
And especially considering the fact that, well, I don't think any other country is planning to invest in hydrogen at any point. It doesn't seem like the best investment opportunity for Japan because they're not really, a leader. They're more of a follower in this day and age. And if no other countries really use hydrogen power, then what's really the point of Japan using it?
Yeah. I mean, if they're trying to shift to hydrogen, then, I mean, we know Japan's a very smart country. They definitely have a plan for, future growth in this. But it's just the cost, right? It's just looks like it's unrealistic to.
It's not only the cost; it's the amount of labor force is required to handle hydrogen, because it's very flammable. Or no, that's helium as well. My bad. It's not flammable, but it's hard to just maintain hydrogen in general. To keep.
I think it's like what's that process? It was like liquefaction or something.
Yeah.
Right. That they do to natural gas.
Yeah.
They probably have to do the same with hydrogen, right?
Yeah, but
that's a
because
very
hydrogen
expensive
is so
process.
much lighter, it'll probably take twice the power to convert it into useful energy. So, I mean, it's interesting to see where Japan might take this, but I don't.
The interesting thing about hydrogen, like the Toyota Mirai, right? You know how like in a gas-powered engine, the exhaust pushes out fumes, right? In a hydrogen-powered car, the exhaust actually pushes out water.
Mhm.
So that's the byproduct of a hydrogen combustion engine. So that's pretty interesting. So if they start making moves to shift their country or their economy to a hydrogen dependent one, that would be interesting, and that's definitely a good step in a good direction.
See,
So,
I mean, the only thing I hate about electric vehicles is the sound of the motor. Like within ICE, internal combustion engine, like you just get that roar, that feeling, right? And then with electric cars, it's just that, little motor that you
Silence.
hear. No, it's not
Just the wind.
silence. You still hear the motor within a Tesla.
Like the Porsche cars, right?
Yeah.
The Taycans, they have like a spaceship sound to it, like a buzz.
Yeah,
It
but
sounds
that's
pretty cool.
that's sort of like they've artificially made it, so
I
that
think
you
it's
hear it.
it's partially artificial. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, some ICEs, like you go to like, the classic Ferraris or Lambos, or even a Beamer, like you hear those
Or
engines and
good
you're
old
like,
American muscle.
yeah, or muscle cars like the Mustangs. Oh, can't forget about those. Those are the main things. How Ford has changed. I mean, the legacy of a Mustang is with the engine. It's a horsepower car. You hear the rev, and you just floor it. And then
See, I think like in the future they'll probably like issue a permit or like a license to just drive gas powered cars. Like you would need like a paperwork to just own a car like this. Well, the entire world has transitioned to EV cars.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think the opposite. I think, or not a license for electric vehicles, but just the fact that we'll have both electric vehicles and gas vehicles. Like it'll be like a 60-40 probably electric and gas, in the future. I don't think you can ever get rid of gas completely, at least gas powered cars. That's just too much to ask. It's sort
Well, it
of
depends on how long Qatar is planning to pump out their natural gas.
That's true.
So
But it's sort of like
Good.
I don't know, utopian kind of thinking to
yeah, it definitely is. Yeah.
to believe that at some point every single person will be okay to transition into, self-driving AI automobiles that's electric.
I think it will definitely. I mean, we went from horses and carriages to cars, right?
Yeah.
Same thing's gonna happen. Cars will transition to EV cars once they become obsolete, right? So it's definitely gonna happen in the next century, by the next century. So actually, maybe by the end of the next century. So, and you will have to like, if you want to like keep that old gas powered car of yours, then it's going to be very expensive to use the gas, right? Because at that point there's not going to be a demand for gas, and even if there was, everyone's driving EV cars, right? And there's also going to be a smaller supply, so gas is going to be a very, very high demand commodity at that point. So what are you going to get out of just owning a gas powered car, right? So I think like even like there's this new company that I heard of that's putting solar panels on the top of their cars that mine Bitcoin. So, so who knows?
Say what?
Yeah, I'm not even joking. So there's this like startup company that's putting solar panels on top of cars, and the electricity that comes from the sun is pushed into these. They have like Bitcoin miners embedded in the car, and as you drive the car, you're mining Bitcoins, which is something to laugh at, but it's also pretty cool. So imagine that you're driving on like 66 and you're also mining Bitcoins with some hash rate.
How that even works, I don't want to know.
It's just electricity, right? You're top of the car is mining Bitcoin while you're driving.
Yeah, but it takes so much energy just to mine Bitcoin. Like,
I mean, right, that's where the solar panels come in.
I don't know if the technology is there yet to do that.
You probably won't be mining a lot of Bitcoins.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you can mine Bitcoin on your phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to take. Probably not going to mine a lot of Bitcoins. But the whole idea is like you're mining Bitcoins while you're driving, which is pretty cool.
I mean, I guess
I'm just geeking out over this.
Yeah, I think you are. I don't think we'll see that in our lifetime. If we do, then I mean, hell, we've definitely come places then. But I think one point I really wanted to focus on that you mentioned before, you know how kind of all of Wall Street now and retail investors, they're kind of going towards ESG companies or green energy companies. So that puts, I guess, sort of less pressure or, less spending on oil extraction, because now those oil companies will, start to try to find new avenues of revenue. But the thing is, it takes a really long time to, have change. Like, even though cars started to go out in the 1900s, it took almost till the end of the century till everyone had a car. It was sort of mandatory to have a car.
Probably not end of 19th century, maybe like 60s, 70s?
20th. Yeah, but it still took, what, a good 60, 70 years?
Or 20s, yeah.
So, I mean, with the oil, like, oil's has been used for centuries now. So, if companies start using less oil extraction, then that might set the stage for supply shortages, which in turn may drive, higher fuel prices for the time being. Because we got to remember, like, companies like airlines, ships, they still use oil on a daily basis. There's not much out there in terms of electric vehicle or zero carbon footprint for these companies.
Right.
No one,
and even like transporting goods, right? Ships.
yeah. So like
There's no electric ship out there.
Yeah. So no one really, with cars you can do it if you have enough money, but for airplanes and ships, like, that's a whole new avenue, and you need tons and tons of capital in order to think of a project like that. So,
Yeah.
While for cars,
You have to start now.
Yeah, I mean, while for cars it might be a good thing, this, supply shortage that we might see in the future, it may not be so good for airlines, or transportation companies.
Yeah. I mean, the whole supply chain will be disrupted.
Yeah,
right.
Especially with how we're seeing, like, just a tiny drop in semiconductors is causing.
Yeah.
Or even what?
Imagine oil.
Yeah, or even what, 1 week, that bottleneck in the Suez Canal, how much economy drought that caused, like
10% of trade stop.
It's insane what just a small drive up in oil price can do. I mean, analysts are already thinking that we'll see, like, at least a 10% rise in airline tickets in the coming years if we're not too careful about this.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how, the Middle East situation goes. I mean, the U.S. has a huge interest, right?
Yeah.
With the dollar and all the oil extraction plants there, right? Exxon, Mobil, they're all there. So if you start to have a big disruption, the U.S. power is slowly going to deteriorate. So they're going to shift their focus into some other industry. So, and I think that's all we have for today on our finance edition.
Yeah, agreed. So thank you all for listening in. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe, or if you're watching on Spotify, share with your friends, family, whoever's out there, maybe Janet Yellen, so she can stop this inflation goddamn spike. And yeah, we will see you guys next time.